Week 16 fantasy football running back rankings. Let's do this because you got to win your fantasy football semifinals to get to the championship. Hayden, I mean, the top 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 running backs here got a lot of prime time players. Let's start off with your number one. This is Jahmyr Gibbs against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's actually running back 4 in consensus rankings. So why place him in the top spot here?
Well, he seems pretty good at football. Start there. The Lions also have the highest team total of the week at 29.5 points. They're back at home. The Steelers' defensive line is injured. We'll see about TJ Watt and his lung. I think Derek Harmon, the first-round defense tackle, is going to come back, but we'll see how many snaps he's going to play. Really, like the Lions' offense is like absolutely shredding. Like, even last week when they lost, I thought they were completely unconscious. And then Gibbs just gets out to the edge, catches passes. So he's the RB3 in usage this month, and the Lions are they're kind of by themselves this week in terms of team total. Yeah, they're 3 points higher than any other team this week.
Mosho and the underdog team posted, I thought, a great graphic spread of, Jahmyr Gibbs going from 3 touchdowns to 0 touchdowns and 3 touchdowns to 0 touchdowns to 3 touchdowns to 0 touchdowns. Well, guess what? When they play the LA Rams last week, their projected team total is closer to 22 points. Mm-hmm. When they face the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, it's closer to 30 points.
Yep.
I'm just going to guess and allow you to assume which of those performances is more likely for Jahmyr Gibbs to get 3 touchdowns versus 0 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm going 3.
Okay. Bijan Robinson is the running back 2. This is at the Arizona Cardinals. Kirk Cousins, another start here. Drake London potentially coming back as well. But as we have seen for this Cardinals team, they are giving up 40 points basically to whatever offense they're facing.
Falcons are 9th in projected points this week, all the way about 25.25. That's with Kirk Cousins. So Bijan Robinson had a season high in expected half PPR points this last week. Tyler Algier was not used very much. So Bijan, he's projected for the most total yards according to the underdog pick'em lobby at 133.5 total yards. So that's insane, like CMC level usage. So the top of this list this week is like really, really, really strong.
Well, let's go to Christian McCaffrey then next. He's still on pace, I would say, for his second 1,000 yard season. He needs, I think, about like 150, 200 of each to get there. Here he is facing the Indianapolis Colts on the road, but we get him in a dome. And as you and I keep saying, the 49ers could be playing like their best ball, and especially on offense right now.
Oh, yeah. Brock Purdy looks really good getting outside the pocket, so I think that's going to extend drives. No Ricky Pearsall probably means even more receptions for Christian McCaffrey. DeForest Buckner's been out for the Colts for a while. The dome environment's clean, and they're projected for the second most points on the week at 26.5. So there's really like no negative notes you can say about Christian McCaffrey. His rushing efficiency is bad. I don't think the offensive line is all that good right now. But aside from that, everything about this is really, really strong.
Well, how about James Cook in a spot where the Bills are favored by 10 points on the road against the Cleveland Browns? Now, we know about the weather. In fact, I'll talk about one game on Thursday that has the most weather impact at this moment. But we've seen this Browns defense kind of get run on as of late. And this rushing attack by James Cook, it's explosives and it's also efficiency. And it really is kind of the focal point of these contests until Josh Allen can or attempts to take over.
He's the RB2 in usage this month. They've been really run heavy. They're bottom 5 in neutral pass rate right now. And James Cook's just doing it in a different way than across the league. He's like the only running back that's actually being used like under center, and he's ripping off explosives. So it's just like a kind of a throwback way to use an undersized back. So really cool. They're 3rd in projected points this week, up at 26, and the game script is on his side, and he pretty much doesn't miss anymore.
All right. We talked about it yesterday on Stats versus Film, how from a fantasy lens, we would have loved for Tua Tagovailoa to continue to be the starting quarterback against the Cincinnati Bengals. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I understand why. At the same time, since Tua was benched for 7th round pick Quinn Ewers, the Dolphins team total, I believe, dropped by 3 points. Now it is a team total projected for just under 22 at this moment. So Devon Achane is a running back 2 in consensus rankings. For you as running back 5, and still a must start no matter what.
Yeah, still really like him. Pick him lobby wise. He's still at 115 total yards. Just of the four in front of him, you have to feel by far the worst about his situation than the rest of them. Now, he's unbelievable, and the Bengals defense at linebacker and safety is as bad as it gets. So you should be able to just like make Achane the focal point. And Quinn Ewers has no like arm strength anymore for whatever reasons, bunch of injuries. So I think stylistically, it's going to be largely the same offense as it was with Tua, just with a quarterback that's probably more prone to throw interceptions or something like that. Right. So I'm not expecting too much to change. It should be probably a diminished version of the offense, but still, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. They haven't stopped anybody.
Everyone watched that Monday Night Football game, and the Dolphins were hopeless. I mean, it was pitiful. And yet, with no teams on a bye, everyone in the ship, Devon Achane was still once again the running back 12 in points per game. And, the previous weeks, that has been the running back 9, 11, 2, 8, 5, and 7. So I'm still confidently starting Devon Achane because I'll continue to say that I think he is the most unheralded superstar in the NFL.
I agree.
Jonathan Taylor's on the opposite end of that matchup with Christian McCaffrey. This is the Indianapolis Colts versus the San Francisco 49ers, and you're running back 6.
I had him ranked as running back 17, which felt about right watching that game last week. So this is a big upgrade. I just feel way better about this version of the Colts. So first of all, Phillip Rivers survived the last game. That's a plus, but that they could have gone even more sideways than it did. The Seahawks defense is so much better than the 49ers. They're so injured. They can't rush the passer whatsoever. It was also the highest neutral run rate of the season for the Colts. So the entire offense is going to be built around Jonathan Taylor. I think that offensive line can actually push the 49ers around. So they're back at home in a dome, and you just get another full week of Phillip Rivers in the building, maybe kind of loosen up some of those joints just a little bit. So just kind of night and day in terms of the environment from last week to this week.
It kind of has to be night and day. And I even think, prior to Rivers coming in when Daniel Jones was there, now that was against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans. But Jonathan Taylor has been the running back 26, 19, 20, and then 21 over his last 4. So if he's anywhere close to running back 6 overall this week, that's a huge W and a huge improvement versus what he's been over the last month.
My last note, he's the last running back we'll talk to who's above 100 total yards in the pick'em lobby. He's up at 112, which is actually above James Cook, above Christian McCaffrey, almost next to Jahmyr Gibbs. I feel better about those teams, but pretty fascinating that the total yards is that high.
Well, a huge matchup is Derrick Henry as your running back 7. This is against the New England Patriots. He did hit 100 rushing yards last week on 11 carries. You talked about how wonky that game was. This Patriots team, no Milton Williams at defensive tackle. And I believe I also read that Robert Spillane was walking in the locker room with a boot, one of their starting linebackers on top of it. So while halfway through the season, the Patriots run defense was one of the best in the league, it has tailed off a little bit, as we saw with James Cook and Josh Allen last week too.
The Patriots defense is now 30th in rushing EPA per play and 31st in rushing success rate since Milton Williams got injured in week 11. That's from Doug Kyed. So yeah, it's been really bad. They've allowed 100 plus yards to backfields in 3 straight games. So I feel pretty good about this spot. I don't love the Ravens offense, but it looks a whole lot better when Lamar Jackson's creating out of structure as much as he did this past week. So they're actually home favorites as well. So throw out the records. Right now, the Ravens are 8th in projected points. And I don't think the Patriots defense is all that good, at least compared to their numbers.
To close out the top 8 running backs, that is Josh Jacobs at the Chicago Bears. Can't wait for that Bears-Packers matchup. Jacobs himself has found the end zone in 10 of his last 12 complete games. Can he make it 11 of 13 here?
Certainly odds are on his side. He had 92 total yards and a score against the Bears a couple weeks back. What's new here is I'm guessing Christian Watson's not going to play. Zach Tom also left. So it wasn't just Micah Parsons, and it's everybody right now. Josh Jacobs had a season low in usage. Then he dunked on somebody as a receiver out of nowhere and was still sticking everybody as a rusher. So I don't know, man. He's their offense. He's the steady Eddie part of it. The team total still above average despite all the injuries at 23.5. And the Bears run defense is still pretty mediocre.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs had one of those games where, the haters could say, oh, he's only getting there because of volume and because of his usage. And then last week he has, like you said, the lowest usage of his week. and then he dunks on Dre Greenlaw, and then he has a 40-yard touchdown run on top of it.
He's so good, man. These nerds need to watch the damn games. Josh Jacobs is the man. He is.
You did. Okay, Saquon Barkley is your running back 9. We caught it last week. It was obvious. Get right spot for the Philadelphia Eagles offense against the Raiders, and it's back-to-back situations for them here against the Washington Commanders. As we continue to talk about, I mean, Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, these guys getting to the edge, it's just disastrous. I mean, over the last 5 games, the Commanders are allowing 5.2 yards per carry to running backs. So again, it might not be the huge 17, 18, 19-yard runs that we got last year, but in the end, you would like to think that Saquon Barkley has one of his best performances of the season in this one.
Yeah, the hard part is the Commanders' defense, you said, 5.2 yards per carry, but Saquon Barkley, since the bye week, is averaging 3.3 yards per carry if you remove that tush-push fake 52-yarder. And last week, it was get right spot against the Raiders, so what does Saquon Barkley have? 3.5 yards per carry. So there's still some issues with the Eagles' offense. They're passing the ball more than they typically have. Certainly, though, odds are up that Saquon Barkley could rip off a big play. He can just potentially just run right by Bobby Wagner. So, yeah, I feel good about it. I don't feel insanely great about it just because I think that the offensive line is just pretty mediocre running the ball.
This is the lowest I've seen in a very long time. Saquon Barkley, 15.5 longest rush. That's his higher or lower there. So I'm going to take that. And that's over on Underdog. You can play right now. Join me. Use promo code The Show or click the link in the description down below. If you play your first time, $5, we'll give you $75 in bonus cash on top of it. We're in over 40 states, 20 plus in prediction markets, including Florida, Texas, Georgia, California, only the most beautiful states. So if you win and if you live in those, you can win in those at the same time. So go and play on Underdog. Next, Travis Etienne as your running back 10 at the Denver Broncos. We know that this offense is on an absolute heater. It's a very different proposition going up against the Jets defense last week and then on the road against the Broncos defense this week.
Also, just want to shout out Travis Etienne's the first running back we're talking about who is not drafted in the first 3 rounds of drafts. In fact, most of the running backs we talked about were either first or second round picks. I think James Cook was more of a third rounder. But aside from that, it's just been all the elite running backs just kind of holding the line. Travis Etienne's been one of the breakout guys. No Bashal Tutin here. It's not going to be as easy as just identifying the Jets linebackers and just constantly beating them. Now you got to go into Denver. Team total is a little bit below average at 21 3/4, but LaQuint Allen just going to be out there to pass protect. Travis Etienne's going to catch everything, be the goal line back, be the home run threat. He's a true bell cow. He's on pace for his third 1,400-yard season and a career high in touchdowns in general. You just feel the Liam Cohen when you watch the Travis Etienne tape. So don't love the matchup, but love everything else.
Gentlemen, ladies, time to talk about my favorite subject. It's beef. It's steaks. And specifically, the official sponsor of tailgating. That is Omaha Steaks. All right. Next time you are planning to have a steak night, either on a cast iron pan in your kitchen or on the grill outside, this is what I want you to do. Before you get it started, 30 minutes ahead of time, have some room temperature soft, unsalted butter. In that, finely mince some shallots. Throw some lemon zest, that's just the peel for those people out there, in that same bowl. And then some Italian parsley, some green, some vibrant, some herbs in there. Mix that all around, maybe some lemon juice, squeeze it in there too. Put that in your refrigerator. So after you have that perfect sear on, and I even got it right here, your beef tenderloin steaks from Omaha Steaks, let it ooze, drip down, meld on that Maillard reaction on your steaks. And that is going to be something that you never want to go to a steakhouse and overspend on that stuff, because you can just get Omaha Steaks at home, which, by the way, you can also get some caramel apple tartlets or some gourmet jumbo franks. They have something for everyone. So make game day delicious with the official sponsor of tailgating. Visit omahasteaks.com and get $35 off with promo code The Show at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code The Show at checkout. Don't forget about that compound butter. Terms apply. See site for details. Chase Brown is up next. I felt like Samaje Perine has not gotten phased out, but is taking less of the, 45% work than he was prior to his injury. Obviously, these are kind of two, I would say, uneasy organizations right now, with the Miami Dolphins doing their stuff and the Cincinnati Bengals doing theirs. But Chase Brown is getting a lot of the work, and the Bengals are, projected favorites here with the team total of nearly 26 points.
Yeah, huge team total despite being on the road. Still like the Dolphins defense for what it is, but they have really lost a lot of players at the deadline and whatnot. So my big split with Chase Brown is there's been 5 healthy games with Joe Burrow. Chase Brown's averaging almost 16 half PPR points, equivalent to RB7 in usage. That was down at 13 expected points. So a pretty big difference, obviously, when you have Joe Burrow back in the lineup. So yeah, I think that he's like a fringe RB1 right now. He's at 79.5 total yards in the pick'em lobby. It sounds like T. Higgins has a chance to play in this one. So obviously that high team total does mean a lot of T. Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase, but I'd rather have a high team total than a low one.
Next is RJ Harvey. He's your running back 12. Been a stellar fantasy asset over the last 7 games. This is against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, maybe this is an AFC playoff preview. Compared to, I don't know, what everyone thought prior to the season, especially if the Broncos get the number 1 seed here in the AFC. If we're looking at it at home, Broncos are projected to win by 3 points, team total of nearly 25. That's exactly an environment we like in this situation.
10th in team total. The Broncos have been passing the ball more since the J.K. Dobbins injury, but that means RJ Harvey's part of the pass game. So he gets more receptions than a lot of the running backs kind of ranked around him. I feel good that he's going to be the goal line back. They haven't gone to Jaleel McLaughlin down there in quite a while. So while I haven't been a huge RJ Harvey guy on tape, I don't really care all that much just because he's got the role that we're after. He's pretty much a bell cow at this point, playing like 80% of the snaps. Did want to mention, if I was like doing pick 'em lobby stuff, I would just center this around the receiving game because opposing offenses against Jacksonville have the highest pass rate across the entire season, and RJ Harvey can work there. So if you want to get off to the edge, throw a couple screens to him, some swing passes, and let him boogie. I think that's a pretty good way to combat the Jacksonville, like, pretty chaotic defense.
Yeah, over his last 5 of the 7 games, running back 6, 9, 4, 5, and 22 overall in those weeks. Okay, let's go to Javonte Williams as your running back 13. This is against the LA Chargers. It's kind of felt like, I'm not going to say lackluster from Javonte, but I get it in the opening month of the season. It's like, dang, we might have a top 8, 9 running back in fantasy football all season long. And he's come not out of nowhere, but kind of a post-hype sleeper type. And then now he kind of just exists in this offense. And it didn't help that he missed an entire quarter this past week, and Malik Davis rushed for a score in his stead.
Yes. Yeah. So to your point there, in the first 5 games, he had 3 top 5 finishes. Since the bye week, he's been running back 25, 19, 11, 17, 15. I've ranked him as like the running back 13 in like 8 straight weeks, it feels like. And I really don't have anything to kind of change off of that. Chargers defense is good, but they're worse against the run than the pass. So hopefully Javonte Williams is healthy. Tyler Guyton, their left tackle, hopefully he can get healthy here. But he is the RB7 in usage. And the Cowboys offense, it's just so high floor. Like even last week against the Vikings, they got him a couple times, but for the most part, Dallas was moving the football for a lot of that game.
Right. And don't get me wrong, still a must start. Just the season's very long, and he's still going to be probably a top 10 running back in points per game at the end of it. Yes. So just a spectacular season here for Javonte Williams and the people who drafted him. Next is TreVeyon Henderson as your running back 14. This is at the Baltimore Ravens. He had some really long runs last week.
He did. He's really fast. So that's my takeaway from watching him. Maybe a reason why I'm like a little bit lower is New England's team total is just a lot lower. It's at 23 points, which is still like above average. But now we're facing the Ravens defense, and their defensive line's not all that great, but they got players like Kyle Hamilton and whatnot that could actually tackle and run sideline to sideline. So the goal line, I kind of studied the Patriots goal line usage since Ramondre's returned. They pretty much have been kind of rotating about the 3-4 yard line. We haven't had like a bunch of goal line carries and whatnot, but they've run like a lot of play action passes down there, and both of them get reps. So it's not like
I'd say that's a W for Hendo in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, down 35 pounds to the guy, and you're still splitting the goal line work. That's a win for TreVeyon Henderson. He's been the RB 15 in usage. He's still going to be in like 50% of the snaps. So they don't trust him in the pass game, but man, he can really take off running here. So boom bust RB2, and we've seen what the upside looks like recently, and hopefully he can kind of keep riding the wave.
Here's DeAndre Swift against the Green Bay Packers. We have seen certain game plans where the Bears just lean into their rushing attack. Micah Parsons wasn't just a fantastic pass rusher. I would say he's been a strong run defender in certain situations too. So despite the narrative out there. So here we are with Chicago and Green Bay at home, a team total of just around 22 points. So that is, I would say, lower than typical right now for the Bears.
Yeah, definitely a little bit lower. But like you said, it's no Micah Parsons, no Devontae Wyatt, their top defensive tackle on top of it. So if we don't get Rome Odunze and Luther Burden back in the lineup too, they're questionable. They didn't practice a couple of days ago. So we'll see about them. But if we start chopping off wide receivers and the Packers are missing defensive linemen, doesn't that just scream run the ball a ton? In the last 3 games, DeAndre Swift's the RB6 and RB16 usage. Nothing's really changed. It's kind of the same rotation. Monangai got hot for a second, but for the most of the season, DeAndre Swift's like the most running back 15 there was. So I'm kind of sticking with it.
Moving on, another rookie running back. Here we are with Woody Marks, who still got there with the fumbled touchdown last week. But based on what Jawar Jordan did, it could have been like a spectacular day
easily
for Woody Marks. So that's one of those performances that, sure, he gave you a floor performance, but it could have been not an all-time great, but just a fantastic first round of the playoffs here from Woody.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Obviously, we're doing this very early in the week. I don't know if Woody Marks is going to play. I don't know if Nick Chubb's going to play. I don't know if Joe Mixon's going to play. Who knows who's going to be the starting running back? But whoever that Texans starting running back is, I'm going to have a lot of interest because they have a top 5 team total this week, up at 26 points. They're hosting the Raiders, who are projected for 11 points. So game strip is going to be on his side. And if it goes back to where Woody Marks is active and Nick Chubb misses, he did not come off the field in those instances. So he will go right back up to where I had him ranked this last week, where he was inside the top 12. I can't explain why he's in the injury tent every other series, but if we can kind of connect the dots here, there's a huge ceiling for you name the Texans running back.
Okay. Bucky Irving is consensus rankings running back 10. He's your running back 17. Why so much lower?
Really? Well, he's not the goal line back. Let's start there. Sean Tucker comes in 3 different drives for the goal line carries. And we talked about on stats versus film. You made a good point that you want to get Sean Tucker some touches. Where is he most effective? Probably at the goal line because he's much bigger than Bucky Irving. By the way, Bucky Irving's just like not having a great season. Obviously, he's coming back from these injuries, but he's averaging like 3.5 yards per carry. Both of the guards are out for the Buccaneers, both of them on injured reserve. So yeah, like they have, like the Panthers got a pretty nice defensive tackle over there. It's an in-division game on the road. Like these are the games that kind of just get kind of mediocre. And I just felt the Buccaneers without Liam Cohen. And I think Bucky Irving had a lot of screens, and caught like 50, 60 passes last year, had a really high yards per target as well. I think he almost had like a 90% catch rate last year. You just don't feel those numbers this year. So he's been the running back 21 in usage since returning. So I think that's where I'm just going to park him. I think the running back 10 stuff is like pretty egregious.
I think it's been virtually impossible to know what to expect from the Giants backfield longer than a 3-game stretch this entire season.
Yes.
And I think that extends to last week where Tyrone Tracy just totally owned the backfield out of a bye, out of a game that he gets carted off. And then he goes out there and owns like 70% of the work.
Yes.
Anyways, Tyrone Tracy to me still looks good. He, forced a lot of missed tackles and ran through arm tackles. Now, again, that was the Washington Commanders defense. And now he faces the Minnesota Vikings one, which has historically been difficult to run on. But still, if that continues, and that's a big if, then Tyrone Tracy is going to be in my lineup this week.
This month, he's running back 16 and running back 18 usage. Like you said, it's been kind of up and down getting there, but he is a big play kind of waiting to happen. And this Giants offense, even last week, I know they lost the game, but that offense was still really moving the football throughout. So they're top 15 in EPA per play and success rate since Jackson Dart's kind of taken over. So the only note I will say, I went back, Devin Singletary entered into the game when they were inside the 5-yard line every single time. So I think we still have to overcome that. He did last week because he scored a 12-yard touchdown and that 18-yard touchdown on Bobby Wagner. So he can still get there. I think his touchdown equity is probably a little bit lower than some of the guys ranked around him.
Moving on, Omarion Hampton, rookie running back in the fold as your running back 19 this week. Just looking at consensus rankings, he's all the way down as running back 23. I get it from both angles here. I get it from yours in that Hampton is this team's best running back, right?
Yes.
Now, I also get it that Kamani Vidal was in protection for 8 dropbacks last week, Omarion Hampton for 0, yet Hampton still wins out in the snaps that he plays, much more condensed for targets. And then you also have to factor in that this Dallas rushing defense has just been like really good, allowing a league low 56 rushing yards and 3.7 yards per carry, which is 6th in the league since they made that deal for Kyren Williams 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think that the split between Hampton and Vidal is just going to get a little bit bigger, and it doesn't even have to get that much bigger than last week where Hampton got the goal line carry and a lot more of just the work in general, despite not playing all the snaps. The big difference was last week, the Chargers were projected for like 19 points. It's kind of been down below average for the last, since Joe Alt's been out. This week, Chargers are projected for 23.5. Obviously, a lot of that's because the pass game. Hampton could be a little bit a part of that. But in general, even if Hampton, if they're moving the ball through the air, if they get tackled at the 1-yard line, in comes Hampton, who's going to be the goal line back to score. So I'd rather see a high team total, even if it's more of a pass funnel. Especially, I've seen Hampton out in the flats go crazy. And I still don't trust the Cowboys linebackers and safeties right now. So don't like the matchup on the interior, but everything else I think is looking pretty solid.
All right. Another disagreement you have with consensus rankings is with the Pittsburgh Steelers backfield. They outright have Jaylen Warren ahead of Kenny Gainwell. And they also have Kenny Gainwell as running back 30. And he's your running back 20.
I mean, go ask Aaron Rodgers where he would be ranking him in these rankings. I think it would be really high. Kenny Gainwell this month is the running back 21 on running back 13 usage. That's according to my half PPR model. So if you guys play in full PPR, his value is even higher than that. He's getting targets in pony personnel, in empty. He's getting screen targets. He's getting checks at the line of scrimmage to make sure Kenny Gainwell catches and passes. He's 4th and 3s out in the flats. He's a very important part to the Steelers offense right now, who wants to check the ball and not have Rodgers take hits. Is that not especially true when they're going to be in a dome and they're 7-point dogs? You're facing the Lions. You're going to be in negative game script. I think that's going to be the type of formula where Kenny Gainwell's even going to get more work. So he's not got the goal line back, but if you think about the Patriots backfields over the time, the Sean Payton backfields, that's what Kenny Gainwell is. He's our true PPR scam of the year. And usually everyone loves this type of profile. So I'm kind of confused why consensus rankers, they usually overrate this profile. And now I'm seeing it the other way.
There's a lot to discuss here with your running back 21. That is Kyren Williams on Thursday night at the Seattle Seahawks. First of all, everyone knows that our conversation last week included Blake Corum with these running back rankings quite highly. And that's because the Rams were projected for 30 points. It's all the way down at 21. The Seahawks are at 22. And a big part of that, according to our buddy Kevin Roth over at Roto Grinders, is the weather. I'll just quote this, okay? Actually, a really interesting forecast. 2 things that stand out looking at high-res forecast models. First, I don't think rain chances are nearly as high as the automated forecasts are suggesting. And then second, I'm seeing multiple models suggest a period of sustained winds around 20 miles per hour with gusts up to over 40 miles per hour. That would be a factor in throws and kicks. I'm putting the game at an orange, more for wind than the rain, but this is a forecast that we'll have to circle back to pregame. A lot to factor in there,
right?
But why Kyren, maybe the lowest he's been ranked all season long?
Just because of the win, I think that would probably mean more carries, and they've gotten Kyren Williams kind of on option routes. Let's move him ahead of Tyrone Tracy here, just to factor in the wind a little bit more and the weather. But the reason why he is low is the formula has been written for a long time. He loses almost half the work to Blake Corum and on a drive-by-drive basis, and that's okay when you're projected for 30 points. And the reality is, the Rams have been scoring 40. We talk about the implied team totals. The actual points in the game, which matter a lot more, have been in the 40s. Now we're projected for 21. So it's just a little bit harder to make the math work if you're giving Kyren 60% of the work at 21 points than 60% of the work at 40 points, which we've seen them on a run here. So, and then on top of that, the Seahawks are just a kick-ass defense in general. So I think he's an RB2. You got to play him, but there's a reason why he's listed at 67.5 total yards in the pick'em lobby, which is actually less than my boy Kenny Gainwell.
Some other interesting notes here. This is from Reeves' worksheet. He only had 13 touches when these two teams played back in week 11, but that turned into 96 yards and a touchdown. But the vast majority of those were in the first quarter. 6 carries for 76 yards and that touchdown. That was when Seattle was playing a lot of nickel and dime versus the Rams' multiple tight end sets. Since then, and all season long, Seahawks are allowing a league low 3.6 yards per carry to running backs. So I'll be interested to see, especially without Devontae Adams, unless the reports come true that it's only a red zone package, which just leave him at home. Okay,
just leave him at home until we're in the playoffs. Like, what do we need to see Devontae Adams in week 17 and 18 for anyways?
Right. So rather than the Whittingtons or the Mumpfields, which those guys might play, I would be surprised if like the vast majority of the Rams snaps, we've already seen in certain games 40 of 67 were in 13 personnel in these 3 tight end sets. So that can help and sometimes hinder running backs on top of it. But I bet the running game, they will try early on to make it work. That's for sure.
For sure.
Anything you want to say about the wide receivers in this weather too, now that we're here ahead of Thursday night?
Haven't done my official rankings on them yet. The wind, we'll have to update that, but this one's pretty easy. Puka Nacua and JSN are 1, 2 pretty much every single week. And then beyond that, you really can't start the Seahawks wide receiver 2 because we don't know if that's Shaheed or Kupp at this point. And I'm not ranking Mumfield. So it's pretty simple.
Okay. Breece Hall is your running back 22. This is at the New Orleans Saints. Disaster game for Breece Hall last week. Got a bunch of work, then got taken out, and then Isaiah Davis gets the touchdown.
Yeah, it was brutal. I had Breece Hall like closer like wider or running back 29 or somewhere in that because I thought that we would get Tyrod Taylor, Justin Fields, and right before we log in, it's Mr. Brady Cook again. So I'm gonna have to readjust and move him down because the last 2 weeks he's at under 10 expected points, and guess what? When your quarterback's Brady Cook, a lot of times you don't meet expectations. So team totals at 18 points, and that could drop now that we got Brady Cook back in the lineup. So don't love it.
At the same time, the spread is not large. I mean, it's 4 points right now in comparison to 10, 11 points that it was last week. So at least they can try to stay competitive for all 4 quarters this time.
We'll see. Maybe they're just underrating Tyler Shuck though on the other side.
Maybe. Aaron Jones is running back 23. This is at the New York Giants. I think it's continued to be this drive for drive stuff here with the Vikings backfield.
Yeah, it really has. And that's just a big bummer for Aaron Jones, but it does make sense for the Vikings. They want to take a longer look at Jordan Mason to see if he can be kind of a featured back for them moving forward. But this month, since they've kind of gone to that rotation, Aaron Jones is the running back 43 on running back 37 usage. So in the last 4 games, he's been between 7.2 and 8.9 expected points. So I moved him up as high as I could, knowing it's the Giants defense who just keeps firing defensive coaches. So it's an eruption spot, no doubt about it. How high could you move that up if they're truly splitting this thing 50-50? I've kind of settled as like a boom bust, like RB2-3 type. I think that you have to play him, like him versus receivers in the flex. I would definitely go Aaron Jones' way, but you can only move him so much because the baseline's been pretty low recently.
All right, let's talk Rico Dowdle. Scored a touchdown on the Panthers' opening drive last week, but after that, he and Chuba Hubbard ran into walls. On top of that, Ike Ekwonu, the starting left tackle, had an MRI yesterday and is like day-to-day or questionable to miss this game.
That would be huge. It's just like another injury for the offensive line, and that matters a lot when you're facing Tampa Bay. So for the last couple of years, no one tries to run the ball on the Bucks, and the Panthers want to run the ball on everybody. So I think that's going to be a big matchup. Like, what's going to give? We'll see. And then on top of that, Tyrone McMillan is dealing with an injury right now. So this is one where we got to kind of wait and see mode. The only like for sure note that I have is Rico Dowdle played almost 80% of the early down snaps, and Chuba Hubbard played almost every single 3rd and 4th down snap. So that's going to be what the rotation is. Rico's going to be the goal line back. You just have to kind of question how many goal line opportunities you're going to have against Vita Vea, and then also how effective they're going to be if they're dealing with a bunch of backup offensive linemen.
Yeah, and even both of them were in for 2 fourth down attempts. So Rico as the halfback and then Chuba as the fullback. So there you go. Michael Carter makes an appearance in week 16 fantasy football. Yep, as your running back 25. Is he the last man standing in the Arizona Cardinals backfield, or could there be one more name behind him?
I mean, I know you want me to say Corey Kiner, but I refuse to acknowledge his existence.
That's week 17.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'm not ruling anything out week 17 and beyond. Amari DiMercado came back, but was barely playing. It was all Michael Carter once Bam Knight left, and that happened on the first drive. So we got like 80% of the game as what the Cardinals are going to commit to, and that's Michael Carter as the goal line back and as the early down back. So I went back. Since James Conner's injury, there's been a new RB1 like pretty much every single week. They kind of rotate, but on average, the Cardinals lead back is seeing about RB 18 usage. So I kind of knocked them down because they're dealing with a bunch of backup offensive linemen. But the Cardinals are projected for 23 points against the Falcons. So like,
it's a Brissett stat.
It is a Brissett stat, but Michael Carter, last time I checked, could catch passes if they did want to. But I kind of trust the offense at this point. And Michael Carter, they showed his hand last week. Like Michael Carter was the early down guy. So this is as high as I can rank somebody who I know I can get rug pulled at any moment, but I kind of feel decent about this.
Yeah. Just hand up fantasy semifinals in the Underdog Dynasty League. I picked up Michael Carter this week and dropped Nick Chubb for him.
That's
so there
huge.
We go.
Yeah, I'm playing JJ Zacharisa in the semis, and he's got Michael Carter, but he's also got Phillip Rivers.
Okay, Tony Pollard is up next. This is against the Kansas City Chiefs. Tony Pollard, really good last week. He's kind of on like a really nice stretch of games after I left him for dead, to be honest.
Yeah, I had him in the drop list at one point during the waiver wire show. I mean, for a while, it was beyond pathetic for the Titans. Their offensive line is showing some improvements. A couple like pin pull plays have really sprung Tony Pollard all the way to the end zone. Now, we got to be realistic. Those plays have happened the last 2 weeks, but for the rest of the season, we're non-existent. So we can't just all of a sudden, he's not Chris Johnson all of a sudden. And the Titans are still projected for 17 points. It's still the Chiefs' run defense, who you still have to deal with Chris Jones, who didn't know he was eliminated from the playoffs until the reporters had to tell him after. That happens a lot. Like I'm actually kind of surprised. Yeah, he does not. So yeah, he's been the RB11 this month, but on RB30 usage, I'll tip my cap to him. He's been awesome recently, and also acknowledging they're projected for the third fewest points of the week.
Last 2 weeks, the running back 9 overall and running back 2 overall. That's been Tony Pollard.
And list like the other 12 games. Running back Correct. 38, 44.
47, 32, 45, yeah. 27, 33. So what a game. You're right till you're wrong, and you're wrong till you're right.
Yeah.
Kyle Monangai is next as your running back 27. He's had a bit of hands issues, and some targets go his direction these last couple of weeks.
Yep.
But against the Green Bay Packers, like we continue to talk about, would not be shocked if the Bears get the ground game going.
He's another player that's been very up and down. You see that with a lot of rookies, but on average this month, he's the running back 33 on running back 27 usage. We talked about that. No Micah Parsons, no Devontae Wyatt up front. I think they're going to try to run the ball. That's especially true if Rome Odunze and Luther Burden can't play. Nothing's changed for Kyle Monangai. He's dropped the ball a couple times, but could check boxes. He can have an explosive play in this offense. He can have a goal line touchdown in this offense. And that's the definition of a flex to me.
Hair loss. Many, many men suffer it from ages, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. And if you think you are starting to thin and look in the mirror every single day, and it's going back and back and back with that receding hairline, now's the time to do something about it. And I know a big hang up, a big stumbling block is, man, it's just going to take way, way, way too much time. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. So Hims brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. And there are no hidden fees. There are no surprise costs, just real personalized care on your schedule. So for simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/underdog. That's hims.com/underdog For your free online visit, hims.com/underdog. Individual results may vary based on topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Thank you, Hims, for sponsoring the show. Next up, Jaylen Warren. Anything you want to add to this backfield in Pittsburgh?
He's just losing a lot of the pass production stuff to Kenny Gainwell, and they're expected to lose by 7 points. So could they establish the run with him? We'll see about that. Dealing with a couple offensive line issues up front with injury. He's still the goal line back, but he needs goal line touchdowns to kind of pay off. He's kind of like inverted his own role in the offense. Yeah, he used to be Kenny Gainwell, and now he's Najee Harris.
Okay, David Montgomery here. A string of running back twos. If you've made it this far and you drafted Dave Montgomery, these are your typical David Montgomery games when the lines are projected for nearly 30 points.
They've had 10 games this year when they've been between 24 and 44 points. David Montgomery's averaged 11 and a half PPR points in those, which is like flex consideration. We'll see about TJ Watt if he can go with his lung injury. Mentioned Derrick Henry, the defensive tackle, will come back here most likely. They've been a lot more Jahmyr Gibbs heavy. They've been a lot more pass game heavy. So that's why David Montgomery is no longer the running back 20 like he was the last couple of years. He's more running back 30. But like you said, they're projected for the most points on the week. This is the times to start him.
Okay, Quinshon Judkins is up next. Unfortunately, he's on a team that repeatedly is projected around 16 points. Yeah. With a backup offensive lineman, and that makes him your running back 30 against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, the offensive line, I'd say probably the worst in the league right now. Like them, the Chargers, there's a couple teams, but they're dealing with 4 backup linemen, and they had like no depth, and then some of the depth players are also hurt. We'll see about Dylan Sampson if he's going to return. Last week, Quinshon Judkins had a season-high 67% snaps. How many fantasy points did that equate to? Not many, because the Browns scored 3 points. It's the second lowest projected team of the week. That makes sense to me. The positives are Quinshon Judkins' film is good, and the Bills' run defense is bad. But everything else about the situation is pretty lackluster.
Ken Walker, running back 31 against the Rams, is next. Week 11 when they played. Previously, 16 carries, 67 yards. Also scored. Also caught 3 passes for 44 yards. I remember the good old days, don't you?
The good old day for Kenneth Walker this season. Yeah, I mean, he's the running back 47 this month on running back 32 usage. We'll see. I don't think that this offensive line is able to push the depth that the Rams have up front, and the Rams secondary is in such a bad spot that as long as the wins can kind of die down a little bit, I think the Seahawks are going to be able to pass the ball on them to some degree. So it's been a rotation. He keeps getting a bunch of the stuff early on, and then in the fourth quarter, he gets nothing. That's just kind of been the MO with Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know this past game was tight, but as we talked about early this season, the Seahawks can't just match up with you and beat you as a run blocking unit, and it put them into some uncomfortable situations late in games when a lot of the other teams just run out the clock and extend drives, and they just simply couldn't.
Yep.
So that sucks. Also, I think Charles Cross might be out for this game too. I know he's been dealing with an injury and had a DNP when they didn't really have practice. So that's something to keep in mind because that's their best offensive lineman at left tackle.
Yep.
Blake Corum, anything you want to add as running back 32?
You did the math on stats versus film. It hits a lot different when you're projected for 21 instead of 31. So yep. I think he's a very good player. The Rams rushing success rate is awesome. And at the same time, the Seahawks are really well coached. They'll be well prepared for the 3 tight end stuff. They have the bodies to kind of match up there. So I would trust Mike McDonald to kind of slow down the Rams to some degree.
Let's get back into quote unquote running back 1 territory here. Ashton Jeanty is running back 33 at the Houston Texans. I did see that Geno Smith might have a chance to play in this game.
Okay.
Even that note has raised the team total from 11 to 11 3/4.
Well, I would love to see Geno Smith because I can't watch any more Kenny Pickett. It was so bad. Is this mean ranking this low, or like do you think this is actually like I'm
fair, man.
I'm using my brain
absolutely
here.
Fair.
Okay. Yeah. The last 2 weeks, he's got the equivalent of running back 31 usage. He's third lowest in a rush yards over expected rate, according to Next Gen Stats. They'll try to throw a screen, and you will not see a linebacker sniff out a screen faster than when it goes to Ashton Jeanty. And that's before we get to the Texans' defensive line.
Yeah, I'm ready to get super excited about every single Raiders offensive lineman that they draft and sign this offseason.
Yeah.
Chris Rodriguez is maybe back against the Philadelphia Eagles and checks in as your running back 34.
First of all, whoever the Commanders running back is, don't have a huge projection for them. You got Philadelphia. You're projected for fewer than 20 points, and it's been a rotation. I'm assuming Chris Rodriguez is going to return because he was questionable and tried to give it a go this last game. And at the same time, even if he does come back, it would make sense to me that you would want to see more of Bill Krosky-Merritt before the season runs out here. So I think it's going to be a full-blown committee on a team projected for 20 points. So have almost zero interest in Chris Rodriguez. If he does miss, I would rank Bill somewhere around Jaylen Warren, kind of in that range.
Okay, I'm just going to go through the next two really quickly because we've already talked about the lead running backs. Chuba, passing down work, had a nice move on a screen this past week. Mm-hmm. And then Devin Singletary is still playing about 66% of the short yardage / goal line touches, but has lost a ton of the work between the 20s.
Yeah, almost all the work goes away from him now. And then this last week, Jackson Dart had designed quarterback touches at the goal line. So that was not the case the weeks before that. So move Devin Singletary down quite a bit.
Kareem Hunt, still on the list, running back 37. This is at the Tennessee Titans. I mean, in a different universe, you draft for the fantasy football semifinals. You have Patrick Mahomes and you have Rashee Rice, and both those guys are gone. And now you have Gardner Minshew leading the way with a split backfield and Travis Kelce on his retirement tour.
Yeah.
Catching passes.
Yeah, there's nothing to watch here. I hope Kelce actually says he's retiring, because that would be kind of fun to know that that's the case and they kind of make that interesting. Otherwise, the Chiefs offense has zero interest from me. And Pacheco's playing a lot more now.
Yeah. The Titans are horrific on defense. And obviously their best is Jeffrey Simmons up front and stuffing the run. But despite all that and the corners and everyone, a 20.5 team total here for the Chiefs.
Yep. Not good. Season low for Kareem Hunt in usage last week too.
Okay, we already talked about Ramondre. So now I'll give you the platform, because during this episode, Devin Neal has been ruled out for the New Orleans Saints with his hamstring injury. So that means we have either Evan Hull, the draft crush of many in the fantasy community back in the 2021 NFL draft, or Audric Estime, our guy, the boulder with legs, who looked quite spry last week going in a straight line.
Well, he's well rested, that's for damn sure. Audric Estime hasn't got a touch in a year and a half, so he should be as spry as he can be. Have we checked in on Alvin Kamara's passport? Is he back from Cabo? Does he have any interest in playing again? He wasn't placed on injured reserve.
Okay. Can I pitch you Audric Estime as at worst behind Chris Rodriguez here?
Yeah, let's put him ahead of Chris Rodriguez for all I care. We'll get this sorted out by the time Sunday rolls around, or at least I will. Audric Estime, I thought was very clearly athletically limited, but for somebody that can't run in a straight line, I did think that he had a kind of a nice one step to him. Yeah. We'll see here. We'll see.
I think there are worse players in the league than Audric Estime, and he was out of the league.
Yeah. So. The NFL seems to very much disagree with us, which is maybe a problem.
Also, did you see who had a workout with the Kansas City Chiefs?
Oh God, tell me.
Damian Martinez. That guy.
Oh, that's when you know it's not looking great. You're desperate.
Just a workout. All right. Zach Charbonnet closes this one out. And that's it. That does it for us on the running back rankings. More rankings episodes in terms of wide receivers and quarterbacks and tight ends will be posted on this channel before Sunday. Shout out to all of you for watching and for listening. And go play on Underdog. Support us by supporting them.
Let's officially move Breece Hall down just because I said I would. Let's put him behind Tony Pollard.
Okay. You know what that means. Michael Carter, top 24 running back.
That was the whole point of the show.
Shout out to all of you. Again, if you're in 40 states, maybe 6 months ago, you couldn't play on Underdog. Now you can. Yes. Go and play. Go and check it out. Go and try the app. for the very first time. Use promo code the show, play $5, and we'll give you $75 in bonus cash. Up the Villa. We'll talk to y'all soon. See ya.